Hey guys, it's Miss Thompson. So I promised you that we would learn to cook this year, and so I'm keeping my promise. Today, Mr. Rico and I are having pizza, and so I'm going to make a homemade pizza dough. So I thought this would be a cool time to teach you how to do that. So right here, I have my mise en place, which is all of my ingredients set up and ready to go. So now the only thing that I have to do is measure my flour. So our recipe, which we reviewed earlier in the year, so we should all be familiar with reading one. I will post this on Google Classroom. The recipe calls for 1 1/2 cups of warm water, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you run your finger under our sink, it's very hot. You do not want hot because it'll kill your yeast. So you want like baby bath water warm. And I have a fancy thermometer to test that. But just pretend you're giving a baby a bath and you don't want to burn them. Just think of that yeast as a little baby.
Okay.
All right, so we need 1 1/2 cups of warm water. And the only way you're going to know that this is actually measuring accurately is to get down and look at the water level. So this is way too much, but when I was holding it in the air, it felt like it was plenty. So we're gonna let that settle and make sure you get down to the water level, and look at that, magically 1 1/2. So then we are going to take our active dry yeast. I got this at Aldi. You can find it in any grocery store. And we are going to measure 2 1/4 teaspoons. Now, this packet is actually exactly 2 1/4. Look how convenient that is. So we are going to give this a little stir, and it's going to start to froth and bubble up. We're just going to cover that and set it aside, and we'll come back to that in a minute because I have to measure flour. Now I'm cleaning up after myself as I go. I preheated my oven a long time ago to 500 degrees because I need this nice and hot to get that restaurant or pizza style crust that I'm looking for. All right, so we need 3 to 4 cups of bread flour. So I'm going to measure this. And again, you have to set this on the counter to make sure it's accurate. Give it a little whack, annoy your family, and then get down low and look. And this is a little bit too much. So try again. And for my perfectionists, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, just good enough. So that's 1. Here's the thing I always forget to do when measuring ingredients is accurately count how many cups I've poured into my bowl. All right. Again, checking if it's level. That's 2. And 1 more. Of course, we washed our hands thoroughly with soap and water before reaching into this flour. And anytime we cook, we are washing our hands. And we learned how to do that before we left. All right, so that's 3 cups of flour. It says 3 1/2 to 4, but I always start with less flour because you can always add more, but once it's in there, you cannot take it away. So I'm going to run hot water in this so that it doesn't stick for eternity. I'm going to clean up after myself and put the flour away. Oh. Okay, so now we're going to add the olive oil, and for that we are going to measure 2 tablespoons. So 1, 2. Again, it does not have to be perfect. You can always add and remove things as needed. And then we also need half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we are going to stir well with a wooden spoon. You want to combine all of that together and try not to get the flour all over the place like I did. And then we're going to add the yeast, sugar, and warm water. And if you have a fancy stand mixer, you can do that in there. But if not, a wooden spoon and some elbow grease is perfectly fine. And you want to bring this together with the spoon as much as you can. And you're probably going to need more flour because we only did 3 cups. But a lot of that is going to be added to your cleaned surface. So I put the flour away. You are going to lightly flour and then dump this out onto it. And I'm just going to make a mess of my kitchen. And bring it together with your hands gently. It kind of feels like the slime stuff you guys are all obsessed with. So I'm going to add more flour because it's too sticky. If it's sticking to your hands, then add a little bit more flour. But go slowly because once it's there, you can't take it back. So you're just going to keep kneading it, which means you're folding it on top of one another and pressing it with your palm. We are going to oil this, give it some slippery stuff so that it does not stick to our saran wrap or plastic wrap or whatever it is that you have. Oh, goodness. So we're going to cover this, and we're doing that so the bread dough does not dry out, and we're going to let it sit for about 45 minutes to an hour, and that allows the yeast, which is alive, to do its thing. So that's going to sit there, and I'm also going to cover it. And while it's sitting, I'm going to clean up my space because we clean up after ourselves, and get ready for the toppings and all that kind of stuff. Hi guys, so it's been probably about 45 minutes. I cleaned up the kitchen, and this is probably tripled in size. Okay, so got my dough, and I want to sort of spread it around. We're trying to make a circle, but I'm not doing a great job. But also the best part about this is it doesn't have to be perfect. It all tastes the same. All right, so now I'm gonna try and get fancy. Look! And stretch this the real way, which is kind of letting the weight of the dough drag itself down and using your knuckles like that to kind of guide it and stretch it along how you want. But see, I got a hole. I can see it right there. So do your best. You can also just lay it flat on your surface. I like to sprinkle a little cornmeal. It just makes it If you don't have it, don't worry about it. I don't even know why I have it. Probably for this. Sprinkle a little cornmeal, not a whole lot, but it kind of gives it that fresh from the local pizza place taste. So the easiest way to do this without flopping dough all over the place is to just place it down and with your clean, freshly washed hands, press it into place, trying to do it as evenly as possible. And it started to stick, so come in with a little bit more flour. I'm also wearing lots of flour. I knew I was working with flour today, but I decided to go for my black Greenbrier attire. I also normally wear an apron when I cook, but then you wouldn't be able to see this. Greenbrier. Another great way to do this, even before putting it on your tray, is to use a rolling pin to even this out and flatten and make your dough nice. But so we're gonna push this to the edge. It's very springy, so you're gonna push it and it's gonna bounce back. It's got a little bit of an attitude problem. I know none of you know what that's like. So then if you like a really thick crust, which I don't know about you, I'm a weird person. The crust is my absolute favorite part. So we're gonna give this a little bit of a crust. We're just gonna tuck this. Kind of looks like a pie. Oh, pizza pie. So I have no recommendations on this. It's literally a tuck, pinch, tuck and pinch, tuck and pinch. And if you're feeling super fancy, you can put butter on the crust, or like garlic butter, or butter and cheese if you're not concerned about your caloric intake. Maybe increase your 2020 challenge to 60-60. All right, so now we are going, see how much that shrunk back out? So maybe give it a little push. So we are going to put this in our 500-degree oven, which has been preheating for quite some time, which is what I'm looking for. And then we're going to pre-bake this, just so it's not super doughy when we put our toppings on. Okay, so there's about a minute left on the pizza. Callie, I'm busy. Stop, you're being rude. And we're gonna open the oven and take a look and see how it's doing. Caution, it's hot. So, you know, step back, clear your pets, get out of the way, go. And open it up and let a lot of that heat escape before you take a look-see. All right, so that's what we're looking for. I don't want it brown. I don't want it cooked all the way.
Okay. Well.
So I'm putting the sauce on my pizza, and I like a lot of sauce, and Mr. Rico doesn't, so we're making separate pizzas. The first pizza I showed you where I pressed out the dough was Mr. Rico's. He likes a little bit of a thicker crust. I like a really thin crust. I'm trying mine on a cast iron. So I like that crispy, thin crust with a lot of sauce and toppings. And oh my gosh, just delicious. And this one I did not pre-bake because it is a lot thinner. So, and I have a lot of toppings, so I need to keep it in there for quite a while. So this thin one I didn't pre-bake, but the thick one I did. All right.
And over here, I had lightly sauced pizza. I chopped up some ham and some pepperoni, and then I put a little bit of cheese on top. And there's cheese underneath. And then inside the crust over here, I tucked in some string cheese and made stuffed crust.
Okay guys, so Mr. Rico's came out of the oven and it's beautiful. stunning cheesy ooziness everywhere. And I'm about to take mine out of the oven mitts, of course. And I put it on broil because I like my pineapple dark, and oh my goodness, it's dark. But remember, don't dive in right away because it's hot, and if you like your eyebrows, then you should probably back up. Now, I like things brown and crispy, just like this. But if you don't, then take it out earlier. Just keep an eye on it. But I like it. Brown is good. All right, so these are our personal pizzas, and we're gonna let these cool for a little bit, cut them up, and chow down. I hope you liked our tutorial, and I hope to see all of you very soon. Until then, this is how we are going to communicate and learn new things, and we are just going to adapt and make the best of the situation. All right, guys, I miss you, and I really hope to see you soon. Send me a picture of your pizzas if you make one.